Ladies and gentlemen, I've just returned from the wilderness, and my Aston Martin made it, but not without a little drama. Here's what happened. My fiance and I left for our road trip into the wilderness of Maine over July 4 weekend and promptly got stuck in traffic. Then more traffic. Then more traffic. Then more traffic. Here's a tip if you're thinking about traveling somewhere next July 4th. Don't. Eventually, we made it through all the traffic, and we woke up the next morning in New Hampshire, excited to enjoy some relaxing alone time together. Except...
Okay, so day one, the first morning of the trip, and we have a bit of an issue with the tire. There's a nail and a slow leak. So not the car's fault, but still not the best start to the trip.
And there's another problem. It's July 4 weekend and we're in New Hampshire, so no one's open to plug this tire. And I'm not going to drive the next 1,300 miles on some crappy Walmart do-it-yourself plug. So we decided to drive on it, very nervously. To Kennebunkport, home of the Bush family compound. To Rockport, where I played big chess. To Camden, where the Aston climbed Mount Batty and looked over Penobscot Bay. Tuesday morning, we were back on the road and we had driven over 400 miles on a tire with a nail in it. Needless to say, our first stop was a tire shop. Now, I was a little bit nervous about taking my exotic Aston Martin to a tire shop in the middle of rural Maine. But I really have to hand it to the people at Don Fauche's Discount Tire and Alignment in Belfast, Maine, population 6,700. The technicians looked at me like I was nuts when I first came in, and then they went to work. I was in and out in 30 minutes, and I never had another problem with the tire. As it turns out, this little bastard was the culprit. I did, however, have one other little issue.
So it poured last night, and we came out to the car this morning and opened the hatch to put our luggage in, and we discovered that the trunk is completely soaking wet.
Next stop, 5 hours from the nearest Aston Martin dealer, Mount Desert Island, which houses the beautiful and vast Acadia National Park. Aston Martin population, 1. But boy, did it look beautiful up there. Unfortunately, the Aston didn't really make any friends because it didn't really fit in with the local vehicles in Maine. But it did have the chance to drive down a lot of different types of roads. And to drive back up them. Eventually, after 12 days on the road, it was time to pack up and head back home. So, did I have any problems? Only 2 besides the nail in the tire, which wasn't the car's fault, and the water in back, which melted pretty quickly. Number 1, the brake dust. I cannot explain how annoying the brake dust is on this car. Brake dust piles on these wheels like dirty laundry piles up at the John and Kate +8 house. While I was on my trip, my fellow Jalopnik contributor, Andrew Collins, tweeted me and said, "You should wash your wheels." Only one problem, I had washed them 3 hours earlier. It is incredibly, unendingly annoying. The second issue I had, the seat backs in this car don't move forward with a lever, but rather with a little electronic mechanism, which of course failed on the passenger side, because anytime you replace something that could be done with a lever with an electronic mechanism, it will fail. Now, normally this isn't a problem because this car doesn't have rear seats, but on this particular trip it was a little bit annoying because we couldn't access the rear storage area to put stuff in. Of course, this will probably be covered under the famous bumper-to-bumper warranty. But let me tell you something. When you're complaining about brake dust and electronic seat mechanisms, life's pretty good. And indeed, this trip was 1,603 miles into the rural forest and back, the longest trip I've taken with this car. I've now driven it on 4 long road trips, 7,500 miles through 13 US states and DC. And the only real problem I had with it came 2 weeks after I bought it, after it had been sitting on a dealer lot for 7 months undriven. So if you're wondering whether you should drive your exotic car or let it sit in the garage,